Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we have some more interesting news regarding the original Obi-Wan Kenobi trilogy, movie trilogy, I think it is. So check this out. The original writer for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, well, trilogy, has gone on to say that Cody was going to be a prominent character in the movie, in the show, in the story. I think this would have been really cool, so let's go ahead and read what he had to say. Obi-Wan Kenobi writer Stuart Beattie explains that the original plan for the series also would have included Revenge of the Sith's Commander Cody. Now, if you don't remember, Commander Cody is this guy who was like Rex for Anakin, but for Obi-Wan. So he turned against Obi-Wan during Order 66, and he actually was the one that ordered the shot on the Varactyl that Obi-Wan was on Utapau after he defeated Grievous. And in the book, in the Revenge of the Sith book, it's actually pretty cool. It mentions that the Varactyl, it was a she was able to sense that Order 66 was happening, and she actually moved her body in the way of the shot so that she would save Obi-Wan, which is pretty beautiful. I like that little bit added by Matthew Stover, and of course approved by George Lucas, which was nice. One of the writers of Obi-Wan Kenobi has revealed that Commander Cody is the legacy Star Wars character that was almost included in the project. The limited event series, which aired on Disney Plus between May 27th and June 22, 2022, was originally conceived of as a feature film trilogy following iconic Star Wars Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, before Solo: A Star Wars Story failed to succeed at the box office. It was then converted into a 6-episode series in the vein of The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett, with Deborah Chow directing and the prequel trilogy star Ewan McGregor returning in the title role. Obi-Wan Kenobi featured many Star Wars characters who would naturally be involved in the plot line following the events of Revenge of the Sith, including Grant Freely, return of Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader. However, there were also some unexpected Star Wars cameos that occurred throughout the series, like Temuera Morrison as a destitute veteran of the Clone Wars. The Obi-Wan Kenobi finale also pulled out all the stops with 2 major cameos, Ian McDiarmid as Emperor Palpatine and Liam Neeson as the Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn, appearing for the first time since The Phantom Menace. Obi-Wan Kenobi writer Stuart Beattie, who was also attached to the original film project, spoke to the direct about a planned cameo that never panned out. His initial plan was to provide a huge role for the Star Wars legacy character Commander Cody, a clone martial commander who was also known as CC-2224. In the series, he would have acted as a secret buddy to Obi-Wan, now driven by guilt after having his biochip removed. Read Beattie's full quote below. So, essentially, well, we're going to read it, but let's just read it actually first. Yeah, Cody was the big one. I love the idea of Obi-Wan having a buddy on Tatooine, like a secret buddy. So like the first time he goes into town, you see Cody, and he's following him through the streets and attacks him, takes him into an alley with a knife to his throat, and says, "You're dead." And then you realize, oh, no, Cody's making a point, like, come on, you gotta be more careful. And you realize, oh, Cody has now morphed from someone who was trying to kill him when we last saw him, to someone who is now devoting his life to protect him. Because by now he's had the biochip taken out of his head, and now he realizes, oh my god, what I did was wrong. And he has driven by guilt as much as Obi-Wan is driven by guilt. So you got to see these two kind of warriors bickering like this old married couple, bitching about, God, it was so much better when we had an army at our backs, you know? Dude, that would have been so sick. That would have been cool. Commander Cody is a character who was introduced in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, so it makes sense that would have been a perfect fit for the timeline of the series. He was a huge presence in Star Wars The Clone Wars, which also featured Obi-Wan. He served as Obi-Wan's second in command, and the two became close while fighting together. Obi-Wan certainly would have delighted fans that the animated series of Commander Cody had been included. However, it seems that the creators of the series ultimately decided to skew away from the canon of the animated series, focusing more on characters who were featured most prominently in the theatrical Skywalker saga. This may have been a reaction to The Mandalorian and Boba Fett's many references to the animated shows, allowing more space for the characters that mainstream fans know and love to breathe. Yeah, dude, stop catering to just mainstream fans. So I don't know if they're just trying to cater to mainstream fans or hardcore fans or whatever, but I think, you know, if you just don't cater to fans in general and you just tell the story as you want it to, then most likely all fans will appreciate it. I think seeing Kenobi and I think seeing Cody in the show would have been pretty fun. I'm sure a lot of people would have had a problem with Cody finding Obi-Wan on Tatooine as well, and that's still something I don't understand with that random Jedi that found Obi-Wan. Like did he just randomly see him, or like he went to Tatooine looking for him? that just doesn't make sense to me. So how would Cody have found Obi-Wan? Would he have maybe tracked him somehow, or would he have gone to the archives? And that would have opened up, that would have opened up a whole story for how Cody actually got his inhibitor chip out of his head. So I feel like if he had actually done this in the show, we could go to the Bad Batch and we could maybe see him remove his chip. And funny enough, in the Bad Batch Season 2, we are going to see Cody as we saw him in the trailer. And I did react to the trailer. It's on the gaming channel, Theories Arcade. I think having a buddy on Tatooine would be interesting. It does, of course, again, go against canon. Obi-Wan's not supposed to have any friends at all on Tatooine. He's literally supposed to be a hermit, not talking to anyone, really, as much as he can. However, if they had introduced this into the show, I think it would have been interesting. But then maybe he would have revealed that, Anakin's kids are here, and it just would have gotten muddy. But then again, they did reveal that to Reva, who was literally an Imperial. So I love the stuff like this because you can really open up so many different stories on the prequel for it, like what happened in this 10 years to Cody, and maybe he ends up joining the Bad Batch, maybe he ends up joining Rex, and then we could see him in the Ahsoka show with Rex. I mean, how cool would that have been? For me, I really loved seeing Temuera Morrison as an old, beat-up veteran clone, just chilling on the streets in that 501st outfit in the clone armor. After 10 years, he's still wearing it. And this was, I think, one of the first times that we saw clones in live action, because they were all CG before. So, it's pretty neat. I think the idea of Cody ridden with guilt that he tried to kill Obi-Wan Kenobi would have been really interesting in the sense that they would have probably had so many flashbacks, and it could have also opened doors to many flashbacks with Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka. And maybe they could have had, a scene where they're sitting around the campfire or something, and they're discussing, like, the good old days, like this guy mentions. They were talking about, it was so much easier when we had an army behind our back, and they could have spoken about, how Anakin was in those days. And we could have gone through maybe a little bit of a character arc with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Maybe they could have reenacted that scene from the Clone Wars that we never got, the one with Obi-Wan and Anakin at the campfire, and we could have gotten that in live action. That was, definitely a gripe that I had with the Kenobi shows, that we didn't get any Clone Wars scenes, What the hell, man? I feel like we were supposed to get a bunch of them. But that leaves me very hopeful for the Ahsoka show, which we're probably going to be getting a lot of flashbacks, I would imagine, because this is one where they've already announced that Hayden Christensen is returning for the Ahsoka show, and we're most likely going to get a lot of scenes from Ahsoka's mind and her memory on things that may have happened. Either we could go through Order 66, where she's talking to someone else who perhaps was there. Maybe she meets up with Reva. I don't know. I don't want that, but who knows? Now that Reva's alive and wandering about the galaxy with the knowledge of Anakin having 2 kids is pretty dangerous, and the fact that she knows he's Anakin as well, Vader is Anakin, is also extremely dangerous for her and all of those around her. So I don't expect Vader would think that she's alive, but I would imagine that she would probably have to die eventually, because her surviving just wouldn't really make all that much sense. But anyways, we're here for Cody, so it would also make sense for Cody to watch over Luke when Obi-Wan is away. I mean, you'd still wonder a little bit, like, is he gonna turn or something? But I think, once we build some trust with him in maybe like 3 or 4 episodes, and then Obi-Wan has to leave Tatooine, I think then it would be acceptable, and it would make a little more sense. I mean, who better than to watch Luke than Cody? Obviously Ahsoka, but Cody is great. He's the 212th, man. He's like one of the best. I think the dynamic between the two could have been great, and he could have taught Obi-Wan a lot. And maybe Obi-Wan is, super rusty at this time, as we saw, if they were going to continue to show and portray him like that. And we could have had him maybe tell Obi-Wan about Vader. I think that would have hit harder than Reva telling Obi-Wan. Because who the heck is Reva, Cody at least knew Anakin. And he's like, I have to tell you something about Anakin. Maybe when Obi-Wan's going off and being like, I miss him, after like a flashback scene or something, and he tells him that he's alive. Or maybe he says that Vader's alive. Yeah, I don't know, or mentions something about how the Empire has Vader now, and Obi-Wan puts 2 and 2 together, and he's like, what? The possibilities would have been great. I don't know why they cut this out. It would have been it would have actually patched up a lot of stuff with Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine, because you would have had someone watching over Luke. But anyways, what do you guys think? Do you think it would have made more sense? Would you have loved to have seen Cody and Obi-Wan in this sort of dynamic where they're best friends now? I think it would have been pretty cool. But anyways, maybe, Kenobi's story should have been all about him and on his own without really any friends. So let me know in the comments, do you think that Obi-Wan should have been friends with Cody or not? Perhaps we'll see Cody in another show, maybe in an animated show. As I said, The Bad Batch Season 2, we will see him, but maybe even in live action in the Ahsoka show, or maybe even Andor. Who knows? Have a fantastic day. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and may the Force be with you.